Friends, life is not a battle to be fought. It is a game to be played, and the rules are spiritual. Every event, every challenge, every triumph is but a reflection of thought. The outer world mirrors the inner one. What we hold in mind, we hold in hand. The winner is not made by circumstance. The winner is revealed by consciousness. There is a law that governs all success, a rhythm that answers to faith. The man or woman who wins does not strive, they know. They are not anxious, for anxiety is faith in failure. They are calm, certain, and poised, for they have already seen the victory in their imagination. The world may call it confidence, but it is more than that. It is spiritual understanding, the knowing that thought is the sculptor of destiny. To think as a winner is to think from the end, not toward it. The loser says, "I hope it happens." The winner says, "It is already mine." The loser waits for the evidence, the winner creates it through unwavering belief. When the winner walks through the valley of delay, they do not complain. They bless the waiting, for they know the law never fails. Every delay is preparation. Every obstacle is a stepping stone. Every apparent loss conceals a greater gain. The mind of the winner is disciplined in truth. They refuse to entertain defeat. They guard their words, for they know the tongue is the rudder of the ship. They do not speak of what they fear, they speak of what they desire. Their affirmations are not empty phrases but divine decrees that shape their world. They declare, "Nothing can hinder the manifestation of my good. The light of infinite intelligence goes before me, making the crooked places straight." Winners think in harmony with the unseen laws of abundance. They do not compete, they create. They do not envy, they bless. They do not rush, they align. Their success is not a struggle, it is a flow. The effortless unfolding of right ideas at the right time. To think like a winner is to live in gratitude before the gift appears, to praise before the proof, to stand firm when appearances shake. Fear is the great thief, and faith is the great redeemer. The moment a person turns from fear to faith, the tide turns. The forces of life rally to their side. Unseen helpers appear. Doors open where walls once stood. The winner knows this. There is always a way, because the way is within. So to think like a winner, one must think as though the infinite were thinking through them. To believe that all power, all success, all abundance are already theirs by divine right. To know that every vision is a seed, and when planted in faith, it must bring forth its kind. Thought shapes destiny. This is the ancient truth that governs all creation, the invisible thread weaving through every success, every failure, every turn of life's mysterious path. It is not what happens to us that determines our fate, but what happens within us. The outer world bends to the inner conviction, and every event that unfolds is but the reflection of our deepest and most consistent thoughts. The mind is not a passive instrument, it is the creative workshop of the soul. Every idea entertained, every belief accepted, every image held with feeling becomes a seed cast into the soil of the unseen. Thought is the origin of circumstance, and as the seed, so the harvest. A person may strive with all their might, labor endlessly, and yet see little progress because their thoughts contradict their efforts. Another may appear calm, serene, even detached from struggle, and yet life seems to pour its treasures into their hands. The difference is not luck but consciousness. The one who wins has mastered the inner world. Their thoughts are not scattered by fear or weakened by doubt. They are unified, powerful, certain. They understand that to think is to create, and that creation begins not in the outer, but in the invisible world of mind and spirit. The invisible precedes the visible. All forms are born of thought. To realize that thought shapes destiny is to awaken to one's own divine authority. It is to see that no external condition can permanently bind or bless us, for we are the cause, not the effect. The person who blames the world, fate, or others for their condition has not yet discovered their true power. When the mind is filled with thoughts of limitation, the path narrows. When it is filled with ideas of expansion and faith, the way opens wide. Every limitation is a mental pattern. Every opportunity is a mental permission. When we think small, we live small. When we think richly, life answers richly. The universe responds not to our words, but to our vibration, the dominant frequency of our habitual thought. A single thought of fear held long enough becomes a condition of fear. A single thought of success held faithfully becomes the law of success. The mind is always at work, whether we guide it or not. If we allow it to wander among doubts, worries, and complaints, it builds forms of confusion and delay. But when we discipline it to dwell on harmony, joy, and achievement, it becomes a channel through which divine intelligence expresses itself. The mind is like a garden. It does not judge what seeds are planted. It simply brings forth the harvest. Whether weeds or flowers, failure or fulfillment, the soil gives back exactly what is sown. Winners understand this sacred principle and therefore guard their thoughts as treasures. They do not indulge in worry or entertain defeat. They know that every fearful thought is an invitation to failure, and every confident thought is a decree of victory. They speak only what they wish to see, and they think only what they wish to experience. Their imagination is not used for dread, but for design. They picture themselves as already successful, already abundant, already free. This mental picture, sustained with feeling, becomes the blueprint from which the invisible forces of life construct reality. Every achievement in history began as a thought. The great inventions, the masterpieces of art, the movements that changed humanity, all were first images in the mind of someone who dared to believe. The thinker who understands this power no longer feels at the mercy of circumstance. They become the deliberate creator of their experience. They choose thoughts as an artist chooses colors, knowing that each hue contributes to the final masterpiece. When doubt whispers, they replace it with affirmation. When fear arises, they meet it with faith. They live from the inside out. The mind is magnetic, and thought is its current. Whatever we hold persistently in consciousness, whether we desire it or not, is drawn into our life. This is why we must think deliberately and lovingly, never allowing resentment, envy, or discouragement to find a permanent dwelling place. Those thoughts poison the soil of creation. When we bless others' success, we align ourselves with the same law that will bring success to us. When we criticize or condemn, we block our own flow of good. The winner knows that every thought must harmonize with truth, and truth is abundance, freedom, and joy. If a person believes the world is against them, life will seem to confirm it at every turn. If they believe the world is for them, even obstacles will transform into opportunities. The difference lies not in the outer facts, but in the inner interpretation. The law of thought is impartial. It works the same for all. The one who continually speaks of lack and misfortune receives more of it, not because life is cruel, but because thought has decreed it so. The one who constantly declares that all things are working together for good finds that life arranges itself to fulfill that word. To change destiny, one must first change thought. The shift may begin as a whisper, a single moment of awareness. The realization that I have created this and therefore I can uncreate it. When a person claims that authority, they cease to be a victim and become a conscious co-creator with the infinite. They begin to observe their mental patterns, to uproot old beliefs of fear and failure, and to replace them with ideas of divine order and success. Over time, these new thoughts form new habits, and the outer world reshapes itself accordingly. The law of correspondence cannot fail. As within, so without. There is no destiny fixed in stone. The future is fluid, molded by the quality of present thought. The person who dwells on the past merely recreates it. The one who lives mentally in the possibility of good opens doors that no man can shut. Thought is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the material and the spiritual. To think rightly is to cooperate with the divine pattern of life, which is always moving toward greater expression, greater joy, greater abundance. When thought aligns with that upward flow, destiny becomes a song of fulfillment rather than a struggle for survival. The power of thought does not lie in mere optimism or surface wishing, but in the deep conviction that the universe is responsive to mind. It is a spiritual science, as exact as mathematics. Every thought is a cause, every condition an effect. When the cause changes, the effect must change also. The moment we withdraw energy from the thought of failure and give it to the thought of success, the tide turns, the outer world rearranges itself to match the new vibration. There is creative magic in the thought that is steady, pure, and filled with feeling. Feeling is the life of thought. Cold, mechanical thinking achieves little, but when an idea is infused with faith, emotion, and imagination, it becomes alive. It moves the unseen forces of the universe. The winner does not merely say, "I will succeed." They feel success as though it were already so. That feeling radiates like a magnetic current and draws to itself people, circumstances, and opportunities that match its frequency. To think is to choose destiny. Every thought is a brush stroke on the canvas of life. The wise thinker paints with purpose, not haste. They know that a single thought of love can heal, a single thought of confidence can rebuild, a single thought of truth can dissolve years of limitation. The universe takes its cue from the dominant thought we hold, not from the fleeting doubts that pass like shadows. What we think consistently we become. Thought is the seed, destiny the bloom. Winners think from the end, not toward it. This is the hidden secret of power, the inner attitude that transforms dreamers into achievers, seekers into finders, and wishers into creators. Most people live as though the goal were somewhere distant, forever ahead of them to be reached someday when conditions are right, when opportunities appear, when fortune smiles. But the winner does not wait for evidence before believing. The winner begins with the end already complete in the imagination, and lives, acts, and thinks as though it were done. To think from the end is to place oneself mentally in the state of fulfillment, to feel the reality of what is desired so deeply that it becomes as tangible in consciousness as anything already seen. In the spiritual law, imagination precedes manifestation. What the mind sees within, the world must eventually reflect without. To think toward the end is to strive, to chase, to acknowledge that one is not yet there. It is the language of separation, but to think from the end is to unite with the goal, to occupy the state of accomplishment now, and to let the unseen forces of life rearrange the outer picture accordingly. When a person truly feels they have already received, the struggle ceases. There is no tension, no doubt, no grasping. The outer actions then flow from inspiration rather than desperation. This is the quiet confidence that all winners possess. They have already arrived in mind before they ever take a step in body. Every great achievement, every invention, every discovery was born first as a complete image in the mind of its creator. The architect walks through the finished building long before the foundation is laid. The composer hears the completed symphony before the first note touches paper. The athlete feels the triumph before stepping onto the field. These are not idle fantasies, they are spiritual rehearsals, and they carry creative power. The subconscious mind accepts the image as fact and begins to direct the body, the thoughts, and even circumstances to bring it forth. Life becomes a mirror, faithfully reflecting what has been impressed upon the inner screen of mind. To think from the end requires faith, not the passive belief that something might happen, but the living certainty that it already exists in the unseen. The universe responds to certainty as surely as a seed responds to sunlight. When one thinks from the end, fear loses its grip because the outcome is no longer in question. Doubt cannot survive in the atmosphere of completion. The winner sees the vision finished, walks as though it were already true, speaks as though it were already visible. They are never anxious, for they know the law of correspondence will fulfill what is vividly imagined and consistently felt. Most people approach their desires as beggars, asking for what they wish and hoping the answer will come. Winners approach as creators, knowing that their desire is the divine impulse within them seeking expression. They give thanks before the gift appears. They rejoice before the door opens. Because in consciousness, they are already standing within the answered prayer. Gratitude in advance is the language of faith. It declares, "It is done," and the law of life answers accordingly. To think from the end is to align with divine order. It is to accept that the higher self, the infinite intelligence, has already completed the work in the unseen realm. The outer world is merely catching up. The one who thinks toward the end remains in the vibration of wanting. The one who thinks from the end dwells in the vibration of having. The difference may seem subtle, yet it separates struggle from flow. Wanting declares absence, having declares presence. The universe always mirrors our dominant feeling, not our words. Therefore, if the feeling is lack, lack will persist. But when the feeling becomes fulfillment, fulfillment must appear. This principle does not mean we ignore the steps required in the outer world. It means that every step is taken with inner assurance. When a winner works, they are not trying to make something happen. They are expressing what they already know to be true. Every action is charged with conviction. Every decision guided by intuition. They do not ask, "Will this work?" They know it has already worked in the unseen. The result, then, is inevitable. The secret of thinking from the end lies in the art of assumption. To assume is not to pretend, it is to accept a mental reality so completely that the subconscious treats it as present fact. If you assume wealth, the mind begins to move in patterns of abundance. If you assume health, the body begins to align with vitality. If you assume success, your thoughts, words, and posture express success naturally. The outer world adjusts to match the inner conviction. The assumption, held firmly and feelingly, becomes the mold into which the divine substance flows. When one thinks toward the end, they dwell in time. They postpone fulfillment by projecting it into the future. The mind says, "Someday I will be happy, successful, or free." But time is a construct of thought. The creative power of the universe operates only in the now. To think from the end is to pull the future into the present, to feel the desired state now. For only the now is real. The winner lives mentally in the reality of their success this very moment, and that feeling magnetizes the matching experiences to them. The delay between inner knowing and outer appearance is only the gestation period of creation. The harvest always matches the seed. Every person lives continually in a mental atmosphere of their own creation. The one who lives from the end radiates quiet assurance, and this energy draws opportunities like a magnet. People feel drawn to that confidence, doors open where walls once stood, coincidences align, and what others call luck is simply the law fulfilling its pattern. To the one who thinks toward the end, these same doors remain closed, not because the opportunity is denied, but because the vibration of wanting repels completion. Life is a mirror. It cannot reflect what we do not already hold within. To master the art of thinking from the end, one must train the imagination to feel real. The mind must rehearse the desired state daily until it becomes natural. Visualization without emotion is hollow. Emotion without discipline is fleeting. But when imagination and feeling unite, creation begins. See yourself as already in possession of the desired good. Walk through your day as that person. Speak, act, and think from that identity. The outer world cannot resist such alignment. It must conform to the inner pattern impressed upon it. This principle is not bound by circumstance, logic, or appearance. It is spiritual law. Appearances may contradict the vision, but the winner does not waver. They remain inwardly fixed in the consciousness of completion. When others see obstacles, they see unfolding steps. When others doubt, they remain certain. They live from the invisible, knowing that what is unseen is more powerful than what is seen. The invisible is the cause, the visible only the effect. To think from the end transforms adversity into opportunity, for even challenges are viewed as part of the completed good. There is no defeat in this state of mind, only divine redirection. The person who thinks from the end does not resist, they align. They trust that every event moves them closer to the expression of what is already finished in consciousness. They do not chase success, they allow it to unfold from within. When a person learns to think from the end, their entire vibration changes. Their words carry authority, their presence inspires confidence, and their decisions are marked by clarity. They cease to doubt the path, for the destination is already secure. Each step is simply the revelation of what already is. The mind no longer strains to figure out how. It rests in the knowing that the way is already prepared. The law of life fulfills the image held with faith, and destiny unfolds as naturally as a flower opening to the sun. Words create reality, for speech is thought made visible, the vibration that bridges the invisible and the seen. Every word carries its own frequency, its own creative force, and when spoken with feeling, it imprints itself upon the unseen substance of life. The tongue is the instrument of manifestation, shaping the material world through invisible power. What a person continually speaks becomes the decree of their experience, for the law of mind knows no difference between inner thought and outer word. The word is the seed, and life, being obedient to the creative pattern, brings forth its likeness without fail. When one speaks words of faith, peace, and strength, they weave these qualities into the fabric of their destiny. When they speak words of doubt, fear, and limitation, they sow confusion into their path. The universe responds not to idle talk, but to the deep conviction carried within the tone, the feeling, and the repetition of speech. Words are living things. They do not die once spoken. They echo through the unseen, returning as forms, events, and circumstances that mirror their nature. To speak is to command, and every command carries creative consequence. Winners understand the sacred power of words. They do not speak carelessly, for they know every utterance sets a law in motion. They do not curse their path with phrases of impossibility, nor diminish their vision with language of doubt. Their speech is disciplined, deliberate, aligned with the truth of success. They say what they wish to experience, not what appearances suggest. Their words are not reaction, but creation. They use affirmation as the sculptor uses a chisel, shaping reality according to the divine image they hold within. When the outer world contradicts their desire, they do not speak of failure, they speak of fulfillment, for they know that the unseen is stronger than what the eyes behold. The untrained tongue often betrays the mind. Many people pray for success and then undo their prayer with words of worry. They declare abundance in one breath and complain of lack in the next. They affirm health but constantly speak of illness. Such divided speech creates confusion in the creative law, and the results mirror that confusion. The winner, however, speaks only the language of completion. They understand that speech must match faith. The moment words align with unwavering belief, the invisible world begins to rearrange itself to match that pattern. Speech is not merely sound, it is vibration. Every vibration calls forth a corresponding response in the universe. To say, "I can," draws energy toward fulfillment. To say, "I can't," seals the door of possibility. Each word carries intention, and intention directs power. The conscious use of words is a sacred art. It is not about empty repetition, but about infusing language with certainty. A single sentence spoken in deep conviction outweighs 1,000 uttered in doubt. The winner speaks truth with authority because they feel its reality before it manifests. Their speech is a creative decree, not a wish. There is a law that governs speech. What you continually affirm, you confirm. Words spoken with emotion impress the subconscious mind, and the subconscious, being creative and impartial, expresses whatever it receives. When the inner dialogue is filled with words of fear, the subconscious constructs experiences of fear. When it is filled with words of power, it builds conditions of success. This is why self-talk is so vital. Every silent phrase directed toward the self is an order issued to life. To say, "I am," is to summon existence. Whatever follows those words becomes the form through which life expresses itself. The statement, "I am strong," "I am prosperous," "I am guided," aligns the speaker with divine truth. The statement, "I am tired, I am unlucky, I am stuck," binds them to limitation. Words do not merely describe reality. They design it. To speak of failure is to rehearse it. To speak of success is to build its structure in the unseen. The mind listens to every word the mouth speaks, and belief grows in the soil of repetition. A person who continually says, "Nothing ever works out for me," will find life obediently arranging itself to fulfill that expectation. The one who declares, "Everything unfolds in divine order," will find life reshaping itself around that truth. The law does not choose, it reflects. Winners use words as instruments of alignment. They speak blessings, not burdens. They affirm harmony in the face of discord, abundance in the face of scarcity, peace in the midst of conflict. Their speech is a vibration of faith, and faith moves substance. They do not argue with appearances, they command with certainty. When challenges arise, they do not describe the mountain, they speak to it. The word spoken with faith is a key that unlocks new conditions. Every civilization has understood the creative power of the word. Ancient teachings declared that the world was spoken into existence, that sound gave birth to form. Modern understanding echoes this law in subtler ways. For vibration is the foundation of all matter. To speak is to vibrate, and vibration arranges energy. Therefore, every word is a tool of creation. The winner uses this tool consciously. They know silence is better than words of fear, for silence holds potential, while careless speech dissipates power. They speak little but meaningfully, their words carrying the calm authority of one who knows that the unseen listens and responds. In moments of uncertainty, most people speak of the worst that could happen. The winner speaks of the best. They rehearse success in their language until it becomes their natural speech. When others complain, they bless. When others speak of obstacles, they speak of opportunity. This language of victory is not denial, it is spiritual mastery. It keeps the consciousness lifted above the pull of appearances. To maintain the vibration of truth through speech is to remain aligned with divine law. For law responds to vibration, not to emotion alone. Every day the tongue writes the script of tomorrow. Words of fear write scenes of difficulty. Words of faith write scenes of fulfillment. The one who learns to speak as though the future were already radiant finds that the future obeys the command. Speech plants seeds in time, and each phrase becomes a harvest in due season. The wise therefore weigh their words, letting nothing escape their lips that they do not wish to see return multiplied. The universe has no sense of humor. It takes every word seriously, every statement as law. To master speech is to master creation. The winner begins each day with conscious declaration. They affirm the good they desire, and their words align their mind with that pattern. This is not superstition, it is alignment with the laws of vibration and belief. Repeated affirmations reprogram the subconscious, replacing the old language of defeat with the language of dominion. The more these words are spoken with emotion and belief, the faster they take root in consciousness. The vibration of words also affects those around us. When we speak love, we transmit healing energy. When we speak anger, we send discord. The atmosphere of a home, a team, or a relationship is built by words. A winner understands this and therefore uses speech to uplift, inspire, and strengthen. They speak life into others, for to bless another is to multiply one's own good. The words "you can," "you are capable," "you will succeed," plant invisible seeds of power in the minds of others. These seeds, once sown, return as blessings multiplied. Speech aligned with faith creates momentum. Every declaration reinforces belief, and belief directs action. Words influence thought, thought guides behavior, and behavior manifests form. The cycle begins with the tongue. Winners are aware of this creative circle and therefore speak in harmony with their highest vision. They never declare lack or limitation, for they refuse to give such ideas the power of vibration. They use words only to build, never to destroy, to heal, never to wound, to command truth, never to confess fear. The spiritual law governing words is precise and impartial. The universe listens, the subconscious obeys, and life reflects. To speak consciously is to take the helm of destiny. Each phrase becomes a command to the unseen, each affirmation a brushstroke in the masterpiece of reality. The winner's speech is the outer sign of inner mastery, the sound of creation flowing through human lips. Every word spoken in faith shapes the invisible substance of life into form, and that form becomes the world in which we live. Faith over fear aligns with divine law, for faith is the substance of all creation, the unseen power that shapes the visible, while fear is its shadow, the illusion that denies the truth of infinite supply. Where faith abides, harmony reigns. Where fear governs, confusion takes hold. Faith is not mere hope, nor is it blind optimism. It is spiritual knowing, the quiet assurance that the universe is orderly, that every need is already met, and that good is ever seeking expression through us. Fear, on the other hand, is belief in limitation. It is misplaced faith, faith in failure, faith in lack, faith in opposition. The moment one chooses faith over fear, the current of life begins to flow in divine rhythm, and what once appeared impossible becomes inevitable. Fear binds the mind to appearances. It sees the temporary as permanent and mistakes illusion for truth. It whispers of loss, delay, and defeat, painting the future in shadow. But faith lifts the vision beyond appearances, seeing not with the eyes of flesh but with the eyes of spirit. Faith knows that the unseen is greater than the seen, that the power that formed the universe still governs every detail of existence. The one who lives in faith does not tremble before circumstances, for they understand that circumstances are fluid, constantly molded by the thoughts and feelings that animate them. When fear says, "I can't," faith replies, "It is done." When fear cries out, "There is no way," faith calmly declares, "The way is prepared." To live by faith is to live in partnership with divine law. It is to trust that there is intelligence behind every event, that order is hidden within apparent chaos, that every delay conceals a blessing. The person who walks by fear moves in darkness, forever reacting to the shadows of their own imagination. The one who walks by faith moves in light, guided by intuition, sustained by inner certainty. Faith opens doors unseen by the fearful. It draws opportunities, ideas, and helpers into one's path, for faith and divine law are magnetically joined. Where one is found, the other is active. Fear contracts the heart, faith expands it. Fear freezes action, faith inspires it. Fear imagines loss, faith anticipates gain. In the realm of spirit, energy follows attention. Whatever we dwell upon, we magnify. When the mind dwells on fear, it builds forms of limitation that take shape in experience. When it dwells on faith, it constructs bridges to higher conditions. The inner feeling is the builder of the outer world. That is why the winner refuses to entertain fear. They may feel its whisper, but they do not let it take root. They choose again and again to stand in faith, knowing that each moment of trust strengthens the connection with the unseen supply. Faith is the law of expansion. It draws forth the hidden possibilities of life. When we step out in faith, unseen forces respond. The invisible intelligence of the universe rushes to meet us halfway. Fear waits for assurance before acting, but faith acts before proof and creates the proof by its action. The winner knows that no external condition can be stronger than the inner conviction of truth. They walk forward while others wait, and that forward motion sets the law in motion. Every act of courage multiplies faith, just as every act of hesitation strengthens fear. The mind cannot serve two masters. It cannot believe in success and failure at once. It must choose its allegiance. When one chooses fear, they surrender creative control to appearance. When one chooses faith, they reclaim dominion as a divine creator. The law of life follows the direction of belief. It does not question whether we believe in good or evil, abundance or lack, It simply fulfills the pattern impressed upon it. That is why the practice of faith is not optional for those who would live victoriously. It is the key to alignment with divine law, the attunement of human consciousness with universal intelligence. Faith is not an emotion that rises and falls with circumstance. It is a state of awareness. It does not depend on favorable conditions but creates them. The winner holds faith steady in the midst of delay, loss, or doubt. They do not speak of fear, for they know that speaking gives it life. Instead, they declare, "All is well," and by that declaration, they establish order in the invisible realm. Fear may knock, but faith does not answer. Faith remains unmoved because it knows that divine law never fails, that what is truly theirs cannot be lost, that the good they seek is already seeking them. Every challenge in life is a test of faith. The moment of pressure reveals whether one's trust lies in the visible or the invisible. The fearful mind clings to control, trying to force outcomes through worry and resistance. The faithful mind releases control, trusting the higher wisdom to arrange all things rightly. In that surrender lies true power, for faith does not mean passivity, it means alignment. It is the art of allowing divine order to flow unhindered. The one who trusts fully finds that solutions arrive effortlessly, resources appear at need, and what once seemed delayed is revealed to have been perfectly timed. Fear speaks the language of separation. It insists that we are alone, that we must fight, struggle, and defend. Faith speaks the language of unity. It knows we are never separate from source, never apart from supply, never beyond guidance. When one abides in this consciousness, fear loses its voice. Even in uncertainty there is peace. Even in difficulty there is grace. This is the mind of the winner, the unwavering conviction that divine intelligence governs all, and therefore there can be no failure. Faith is the light that dispels the illusion of danger. It is not blind to facts, but it knows facts can change. Faith operates in the realm of principle, and principle transcends fact. The fact may declare lack, but the principle declares abundance. The fact may show illness, but the principle declares life. The fact may display opposition, but the principle declares harmony. When one stands in faith, facts rearrange themselves to match principle. This is divine law in action, responding to the vibration of belief. The vibration of fear attracts confusion, while the vibration of faith attracts clarity. Fear distorts vision, narrowing perception to obstacles and threats. Faith expands perception, revealing pathways and solutions invisible to the fearful eye. Many fail not because opportunity is absent, but because fear blinds them to its presence. The winner sees with faith, and therefore they see farther. They do not wait for conditions to change before believing. They believe, and conditions change to match belief. To live by faith is to live in gratitude before the gift appears. Gratitude is faith in action. It is the acknowledgement that good already exists even when unseen. Fear complains of absence, faith rejoices in presence. The person of faith blesses every moment, knowing that praise multiplies the good. The energy of gratitude expands whatever it touches, while the energy of fear contracts it. This is why faith is synonymous with abundance. It opens the channel through which supply flows freely. Fear feeds on uncertainty, faith thrives on it. The unknown is terrifying to the fearful mind, but exhilarating to the faithful heart. Where fear sees risk, faith sees revelation. Each step into the unknown is an opportunity for divine law to prove itself. The winner welcomes uncertainty, for they know it is the ground from which miracles grow. They understand that fear is simply faith inverted, the same power misdirected toward a false idea. When redirected toward truth, that same energy becomes creative force. Faith over fear is not an occasional choice but a daily discipline. It requires vigilance, awareness, and practice. Every fearful thought must be examined and replaced with a thought of trust. Every anxious word must be corrected with a word of peace. Over time, this discipline becomes natural, and the mind begins to dwell automatically in the vibration of assurance. The fearful person waits for outer evidence before feeling safe. The faithful person feels safe first, and safety manifests around them. Fear is born of ignorance of divine law. Faith is born of understanding it. When one knows that the universe is governed by perfect intelligence, fear dissolves naturally. There is nothing to dread when all power is on your side. The winner walks in this awareness, not arrogantly but calmly, knowing that faith is alignment with truth itself. They do not need to see the entire path. They only need to trust the next step, for each step taken in faith reveals the next in divine order. The choice between fear and faith arises in every moment. It is the crossroads of creation. Each time we choose faith, we rise into alignment with the higher rhythm of life. Each time we choose fear, we fall into discord with it. The law responds instantly, not to words alone but to vibration. Therefore, the consciousness that vibrates with faith becomes the magnet of success, and the one that vibrates with fear attracts delay. To live by faith is to live as a co-creator with the infinite, aligned with the boundless intelligence that governs all things in perfect harmony. Gratitude and certainty magnetize success, for they are the twin forces that draw the invisible good into visible form. Gratitude is the vibration of acceptance, the acknowledgement that all is already provided. Certainty is the vibration of faith fulfilled, the unwavering knowing that the desired outcome exists now in the unseen. Together, they form a magnetic current that aligns thought with divine order and compels reality to reflect their harmony. The grateful heart and the certain mind are the true instruments of manifestation, for they do not beg or chase, they attract and allow. Gratitude opens the door to abundance, and certainty keeps it open. Many live in the consciousness of waiting. They wait for signs, for proof, for improvement, believing that gratitude is reserved for after success arrives. But the spiritual law reverses that order. Gratitude must come first, for it is the seed of manifestation. The one who gives thanks in advance declares to the universe, "I know it is done." This declaration sends out a vibration of fulfillment, and fulfillment responds. The universe does not answer longing, it answers knowing. The moment one gives thanks before the appearance, the unseen begins to move, the law begins to act, and conditions start to align with the state of gratitude. Certainty is gratitude's companion. While gratitude opens the heart, certainty stabilizes the mind. It does not waver with appearances or moods. It does not depend on external assurance. It is the inner conviction that the law of cause and effect is absolute, and that every good thought, held persistently, must bear fruit. The uncertain mind divides its power. The certain mind directs it. When the mind holds a single vision in unwavering faith, the creative forces of the universe converge upon it, weaving circumstances to match that vibration. Certainty is magnetic because it contains no contradiction, and the law of life flows through clarity, not confusion. Gratitude transforms perception. It shifts focus from what is lacking to what is already given, and that shift changes vibration. The grateful mind sees abundance everywhere and therefore attracts more of it. Every acknowledgement of good multiplies it. When one blesses even the smallest thing, a breath, a sunrise, a friendly word, they align with the frequency of increase. The law of increase responds to appreciation. What is appreciated expands, what is ignored diminishes. This is not sentiment, but spiritual mechanics. The vibration of gratitude harmonizes with the vibration of supply, and harmony draws its likeness. Winners practice gratitude not as a ritual, but as a way of being. They understand that thankfulness is not dependent on visible success, but is the cause of it. They do not say, "I will be grateful when I succeed." They say, "I am grateful now, for success is already mine." They give thanks for the unseen as though it were seen, and in time the seen must reflect the unseen belief. This inner posture of gratitude dissolves tension and fear, for it acknowledges divine sufficiency in every moment. The grateful person cannot feel lack, for gratitude fills the mind with the awareness of abundance. Certainty is the quiet power behind all achievement. It is not loud, boastful, or defiant. It is serene, calm, and immovable. The certain person does not rush or force. They know that what is theirs cannot be withheld. They act with poise because they trust the timing of divine law. This certainty is not arrogance. It is alignment with truth. It is the realization that success is not something one must earn, but something one must allow. The moment one believes completely, the moment doubt ceases, the manifestation begins to unfold. The vibration of certainty tells the universe, there is no question, and the universe responds, then there is no delay. Gratitude cleanses the mind of resistance. It transforms complaints into affirmations and obstacles into opportunities. When one gives thanks, even in difficulty, they rise above the vibration of the problem and enter the vibration of the solution. Life cannot resist the power of a thankful heart. Gratitude is not denial. It is recognition of divine order, even in seeming disorder. It says, I may not yet understand, but I trust that all is well. This trust dissolves fear and aligns energy with the highest outcome. Every expression of gratitude refines the channel through which good flows, making it wider, clearer, and more receptive. Certainty builds momentum. Each time one affirms their trust in divine order, the pattern of faith deepens. Repetition strengthens vibration, and vibration attracts its likeness. The uncertain person sends out conflicting signals, belief one moment, doubt the next, and the law reflects that indecision through mixed results. The certain person sends out a single, clear signal of completion, and life mirrors it perfectly. Certainty is the state of consciousness in which possibility becomes inevitability. It is the end of struggle and the beginning of effortless flow. Gratitude is the song of the soul in harmony with life. It radiates outward and touches every circumstance with blessing. Even those who cross paths with a grateful person feel uplifted, for gratitude carries the vibration of love. It softens resistance, opens hearts, and magnetizes cooperation. The grateful individual finds favor wherever they go, not because of chance, but because their energy invites it. The universe bends toward those who give thanks sincerely. Gratitude transforms waiting into receiving because it erases the sense of separation between desire and fulfillment. Certainty turns potential into manifestation by holding the image steady. The certain person does not look for signs, they are the sign. Their calm assurance draws conditions to match their inner state. This is why winners rarely speak of failure. They cannot see it, for their minds are fixed on completion. Their certainty is not dependent on logic or probability. It is founded on spiritual law. The law of mind cannot fail to produce what it holds with faith. Certainty is the mental equivalent of possession. Once the mind accepts something as real, the outer world must conform. Gratitude and certainty, when united, form the most potent creative force. Gratitude opens the flow, and certainty directs it. Gratitude releases the heart from resistance, and certainty anchors the mind in knowing. When both operate together, the entire being vibrates in harmony with success. The person who lives in this state no longer asks, will it happen? They simply know it already has. This inner knowing radiates outward, and everything begins to move to match it. Opportunities arise, doors open, and what others call coincidence is merely the law, answering the vibration of gratitude and faith. Gratitude speaks the language of abundance. It never complains, for complaint affirms lack. It never envies, for envy denies the good already present. Gratitude multiplies joy by focusing attention on blessings, and attention is the channel of manifestation. Whatever the mind habitually focuses on expands in experience. To live in constant gratitude is to live in constant creation. Each thankful thought is a thread weaving new patterns of good. The grateful person does not resist change or loss. They bless every phase of life, knowing that divine order governs all. Certainty is the foundation beneath every creative act. It is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to believe in it. Certainty is quiet power, an unspoken agreement with the infinite. It does not need to prove itself or defend its belief. It simply knows. The person who knows does not seek approval or reassurance. Their vibration alone becomes evidence, and that vibration draws success as naturally as gravity draws form to center. The world bends to those who are inwardly certain, for the world is the mirror of mind. Gratitude and certainty together erase delay. Gratitude ensures that the channel of supply remains open, and certainty keeps it directed. When one gives thanks for what they desire as though it were already done, the vibration of completion is established. Life responds instantly to that vibration, reorganizing itself to match it. The universe does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It only matches the frequency of belief. Gratitude creates the emotion of having. Certainty sustains it. Together they bridge the gap between desire and fulfillment. The winner lives in this consciousness every day. They wake with gratitude for the unfolding of divine order and walk with certainty that every step is guided. They do not question outcomes, for they have already received them inwardly. Their faith is not strained, their gratitude not forced. It flows naturally because they have learned the rhythm of divine law. Life to them is a mirror of consciousness, and since their consciousness is filled with thanksgiving and conviction, life reflects nothing else. Gratitude is the fragrance of the soul that trusts, and certainty is the strength of the spirit that knows. Together they form the inner condition that success cannot resist. The grateful and certain mind is the open gate through which abundance flows freely, the calm center from which creation unfolds effortlessly, the silent magnet that draws all good toward itself by the simple power of divine alignment.